Attention, people of Earth, I have an important announcement to make.
You're now in a different continuum than the world you're used to.
Really funny. Really funny. What do you mean I'm funny?
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Tony Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't.
Just what you need and not what you don't. How many times have you heard me say that? The same old thing.
Your papers, please.
Why? Just why? It's the title of this show. I'll see you in September. Today's September 30th, 2021. It's the last day of September. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, except February every now and then as a leap year, whatever the hell it is. So it's the last day of September already. Could you believe it? I mean, not only is summer over, but September's over. So we're really into fall now. The
Weather Watch forecast.
Ay caramba, I was going to say. Here is the view of the former United States. This was taken by a NOAA satellite. And it's pretty much the currently what it looks like out there. Because it's like 4:31 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time here in the U.S. of A. And this is what it's looking like. You know, and it's amazing, you know, this ain't not this particular satellite, but we have satellites that could like zoom in and actually like see your face. And there's still the real kicker is there's still people out there who don't believe that. Right? They, you know, when you say that, they're like,
Did you accidentally inject yourself with some kind of psychotropic agent?
You know, that's the whole thing. Why? Just why? You know, I don't try to put myself above anyone else. It's like on this, like this satellite photo, which is a real satellite photo. Okay. You know, I tried explaining this once in a video where I took clouds from radar, you know, basic other meteorological sources showing clouds over certain parts of, you know, the globe, and then tying them in with satellite imagery and satellite imagery from other countries, et cetera, et cetera. And these people with the flat earth, you see how the satellite is showing the round, you know, the earth is round. But she's a flat. No, she's a round. And I confirmed, you know, live satellite pictures from one of the sources was Ecuador or something. You know, because these loons, you know, that think the world ends at the South Pole, and I've got live, you know, did live dispatches from the South Pole. There's an American base there that's the size of it's like a 3 or 4 story building. And one of the comments was, "There's no buildings down at the South Pole." It's like, do you know how many bases there are in Antarctica? It's like insane. And I cross-referenced all these various countries' satellites, you know, ground, you know, like I said, you know, Doppler radar type of thing and everything, and showed that they all they all like aligned with one another. And these people still don't believe it. Including, you know, your buddy, what's his name? The guy who, the ultimate YouTube millionaire, besides that, you know, soy boy guy. Man, my mind's jello this morning. Joe Rogan. That was a coffee slurp if you heard it. Joe Rogan commented, I think, on my video. Yeah, there was this guy, and he tried explaining it, but I couldn't make any sense out of it. And what Rogan didn't realize, I've said this once before, but it's worth repeating because nobody watches this frickin' show. Current temperature here is 45 degrees outside my studio. Sunrise is 7:11, which is like 2.5 hours from now. So this show will be over and it'll still be dark outside. But it's supposed to be sunny today and for the next 3 days. We'll see if that happens. I ran out of material yesterday fixing the roof. Sunday will be the test. Sunday and Monday there's going to be rain and thunderstorms. We'll see if the next 3 days hold out and I somehow have the ability to further patch holes. We'll get into that in a little bit. But anyway, there's your map. Looks like there's some cloud bursting going on in the midsection of the country. Something happening down in Mexico. But Florida's clear. South Carolina's looking good. North Carolina's got something going on. And upstate New York and New England, it's some clouds up there. They could be looking at some rain. And, up, coming up the mighty Mississippi, there's some clouds. And then, of course, there's clouds down in Southwest Desert. Like I said, I think this is their rainy season. So anyway, that's your...
The Weather Watch forecast.
So, that's that. I am here. So, what do we want to talk about? First of all, let's get through some things from yesterday because, this is...
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And also I think I added this one.
ROCKFLUX Live.
That's just like a real abbreviated one. Let's see if we can do that again.
ROCKFLUX Live.
No, it's not acting up. It doesn't like 2 in a row.
This is insane.
Now we'll try it again.
ROCKFLUX Live.
Maybe I should have left that motorcycle on a little bit longer. Now, I don't know if these things are going to really make much sense to you because you may not be able to grasp the full intensity of this whole situation. But, if I shrink it, you could see down at the bottom, like an empty floor. This is the one you want to look at because there's a background image coming through on the one on the right. And so what I did yesterday basically was the after is you can see that I literally finished off my can of roof stuff. This is just the front area. This was like the least leaking area I had. And you could see in the front before there were, some spots. I mean, that's tar underneath there, really. So it's not like it wasn't touched up. But there were some areas on the left, and you can't see the full part of the right, but the right had a lot of gaps in it. You can see, if you look, where the post, we're looking at front before. And actually, these are swiped. This is actually the back. Well, it actually is the front. Sorry. This is the front of the building. But it's hard to, I'm sorry. Forget that, what I just said. And I don't know if you noticed on the after one, I have this pipe insulation thing against there because I had to squeeze in that tiny space, which really is only about, I don't know. It's like 1.5 feet or something. I don't know. For some reason, the left is wider, so I don't know what they were doing when they were, creating the space between these uprights. But, there's a combination of like 2 or 3 different kinds of caulk. You can see there's some great stuff popping up in different spots, and then the whole thing, and then there was mesh there to like give it strength, and then over top of the mesh is a couple of coats of this bona fide roof sealant that people actually put on the outside of the roof. So, and I'm out of material. I'm gone with that. I mean, I'm out of it. I'd like to put a second coat. I should get another gallon of that stuff if I could, and like just coat this one more time. And there's a few of those gaps between the planks that probably could have a little more, waterproof, silicone type seal in there, and maybe some mesh, and then that coated again. I mean, that literally would create, that would be the ideal. And then my other plan was, this is the DIY portion of the show. We'll get into the main features, which is like the title. We'll get into that. Actually, the title of the show is along these lines. I would like the flooring area, which is a false floor that I added. I said this before. I took those green, where you see those green sawzawed, the way I opened this wall to access these rafter area, whatever. And I built a floor, and then I put these are all recycled materials, things I found up there, pieces of plastic and stuff like that. And then I put that stuff down, but I'd like to go over that whole floor with like some kind of sealant, so that basically it would be impervious to water. And then this is the back of the, of the building. And it says back before. And you could see on the left-hand side, it was mostly tar. I was trying tar because my theory was tar is waterproof, man. But this place was leaking like mad, like crazy. And the parts that did have the white, sealant on it, underneath that sealant was like this mesh, and there was caulk under the mesh. Waterproof caulk, but there was like water coming through there. So while this doesn't look like the previous one where it's a completely, whited out, I was getting low on materials, so I put priority on any place that I knew was a leaking problem, and I added a lot of mesh and covered it over. So, like I said, I probably could get it if I was able to go to one of the box stores, which is really not likely. Don't have a ride. Probably another gallon of that stuff. They cost like $30 a gallon. But I would probably go over this entire area. I don't know if we're showing any floor. Yeah, this one we're showing floor on. Okay. So this gives you an idea of these various containers that I use to capture the leakage. And you could see on the right, which is after, that I started to paint the floor with this sealant, this fake floor that I have created with the tongue and groove or whatever that I cut out to open up the thing. So it's like recycled. It's really funny because you see these plastic, like that plastic container. It's in both pictures. It's like a cat litter comes in that, and I just cut the top of this, I don't know, 2 gallon or gallon and a half jug and to turn it into a container, man. I was desperate. I must have about 3 dozen various containers up there. And my goal was to try to get this down to where I only had maybe 3 or 4 on each spot, And then once that was done, then I'd be able to focus on the main area. But here's the card. I had those shoe covers on. I just thought it was funny looking. And, playing off the Dorothy thing, I was going to try to find the sound effects where Dorothy was clicking her heels on her ruby slippers. I want to go home. I want to go home. I mean, that's where my head's at right now. I was talking yesterday. You have to have, it's like that Rudyard Kipling thing. You have to have the will to go on. And I know it's a struggle and it's hard. Firsthand. Trust me. Like I say, it's 4:46 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the former United States, so I'm a little bit sluggish today. Pouring a little more hot in my coffee. The cat was down longer than I thought. But he left. Chicken. I have the news for you if you're interested. Do you want to see it? Why isn't it showing up? It's because something's blocking the news. Oh, the image of the day is blocking the news, and so is the title card. Okay, so this is just... I only bring this up. I don't care about the news. I don't watch the news. I cut the cord. I don't have cable. And I don't even go to Google News normally, but I'm doing this for you because it's the absurdity of the whole thing. See? YouTube, monitors, Google News, your brethren. Okay. Now, let's go all the way up because... I don't know what that noise was. Senate reaches deal to avoid government shutdown. Schumer announces. Another one of these, ancient people that, shouldn't even be, shouldn't even be in office. But like I said yesterday, who even cares? They're nothing. This is just... The whole purpose of what we call the political system in the U.S. today is strictly content for the media so they could sell used cars and pharmaceuticals. Basically advertising revenue. I mean, the corporatocracy is just one big business so that these weird, sick, narcissistic sociopaths and narcissistic psychopaths could just earn more billions of dollars and do more things and just mess with us and suck out this thing called loosh because they get off on our suffering and fear and all that stuff. So here you have this guy, another person that has to have makeup put on every day in order to go, to go out. Because if you saw Schumer on the street, you would you would think, my God, that, get that guy to, the guy needs a gurney, right? But the Senate, why is this news? Senate reaches deal to avoid government shutdown. Now, I've been around for many, many years, okay? Some people think I'm immortal. But the thing about it is, every year, there's a threat of a government shutdown, and then there's a story, they reach a deal. So, why? Just why? It's like the subtitle of the show. I mean, why are people even paying attention to these clowns? And then here's one. Mansion, the next paragraph or little whatever section down. Manchin offers alternative plans to Democrats in, quotes, fiscal insanity. Well, what are you talking about? Fiscal insanity. The whole thing's insane. You know, it's insanity as a whole. Right? You know, when someone's in an insane asylum and they throw their spoon, you know, at I don't know, at the clock, you don't say, you know, what an insane act, you know, or that was insane. The person's insane to begin with. The whole system's insane. Don't you understand? I mean,
This is insane. 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 This is insane.
so, you know, first two stories, Google News. Like I say, I don't go to Google News. This isn't the news made for me based on my viewing or anything. This is just random. Senate reaches deal. With Biden's agenda hanging in the balance, progressive frustration with cinema boils over. I don't even know what cinema is because I don't watch the news. Yahoo News. Since when did Yahoo even become anything that anyone would even quote? It's like Politico, you know, like these internet, you know, news things. It was like the Huffington Post. Like Huffington, she sold it and made, I don't know, $1 billion or a ridiculous amount of money. She's like nobody. She's one of these, like, you know, jet-setting type of women, you know, like ridiculous people. And ugly, too. You wonder, like, you know, how these millionaires, I don't know how they sleep with these, you know, dogs. And here's another one. Biden hits congressional baseball game as hopes fade for infrastructure bill. GOP rep hits out-of-park home run in congressional baseball game. Oh, what the heck does that even... Who even cares? And then Governor Christie Nome denies allegations of affair with some... Corey Lewandowski. She says it's total garbage. She kind of looks cute, though, you know, this Christie governor chick, you know, but like, this is the news. Why? Just why? You know, why is that news? I want to go home. So maybe if I put my feet, you know, click my heels together 2 times or 3 times, I'll go home to Kansas. I want to go home. This is insane. It's also...
This is a nightmare. It must be a nightmare.
Not must, my friend. It is. It is a freaking nightmare. It's crazy. You know.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Hey, it's me. How you doing, man?
Well, I started the show, still half asleep, got up at 3 a.m. Went to bed like 6 p.m. I mean, went and tried to start going to sleep. Woke up a couple of times. And, like I said, I've got enough sleep. It's not like I got bags under my eyes and big brown circles. But, I should have stayed in bed. But for you nice people out there, good morning. I don't think we're going to have any visitors at, 4:55 a.m. So it's pretty crazy. Really crazy, man.
Hi, this is Casa on the Toyo OU expedition. We've, in less than a week, left Kathmandu, experienced the craziness of the crossing of the Chinese border. We've gone from low jungle waterfall lands up into the high Tibetan plateau. We're sitting in the desert now and looking at a blue sky day. The team's doing great, and we'll keep you updated. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. A blue sky day. A hot mountain climbing chick who sent me a dispatch when she was climbing the Himalayas. Crazy stuff. I tried to add some new sound effects, and they all didn't make it into where I wanted them to be. And this was, oh no, they did, obviously. So let me delete this one. Ooh, that was a nice sound.
I can no longer sit back and allow communist infiltration, communist indoctrination, communist subversion, and the international communist conspiracy to sap and impurify all of our precious bodily fluids.
Not the weirdest thing is the time on that says 6 seconds, but it ran to be about 12 seconds. Oh, and there was another thing today. So I saw there's been every day there's updates on this Apple Macintosh. And like I said, I have not the old, but the previous system. So it's like Catalina or something like that. It's not the new one. But there was an update today that synced it or did something to help with devices like iPhones and iPads. So this is this ongoing thing. I'm sorry for messing with the microphone, but it's going to happen. Okay? Yeah, you just have to deal with it.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Yeah, right. So they want you to buy a new computer. Okay? There's nothing wrong with this computer. So there have been a series of updates. They've been squeezing stuff in. Pain in the ass updates too. The ones that take luckily I had the time I went to the box store last week or something. The ones that take almost 2 hours. I mean, it has nothing to do with your dial-up. Yeah, we could do the dial-up. Yeah, it has nothing to do with your modem connection. I mean, I have a high-speed connection. That's one thing I have. Though I'll tell you, it's spotty sometimes on, playback of movies and stuff like that. So for 2021, and all this happy horse shit they're talking about, it's I still say, sometimes I think I've had better connections when it was dial-up. But anyway, I knew I was going to be out of the house for an hour or two. And so I decided to do the update. And it takes that long. And I swear the week before there was another one, right? System update. This is the previous system. It's not even the new one. Because the new one they won't let me put on here. Because this computer is supposedly incapable of it. which I find completely, preposterous. It's got 16 gigabytes of DRAM and, dual quad core processor and a solid state drive. And, you know what I mean? It's a couple grand worth of hardware, But anyway, so they just want to sell you something new. But they want you to buy the new iPhone. They still want me to buy the new iPhone 13 or the iPad, whatever it is. And so there was an upgrade today, right before I got on. I put it on because I saw it was only in the megabytes. It wasn't a one of these gigabyte things. So I figured that's not going to take that long. So I'll just do that while I'm preparing sliding over some of these sound effects, over into the air.
Funky.
And the thing about it is, they just, they admit, it's like everything else I say. It's in your face. They show you what they're doing. They show you what they're doing. They know there's nothing wrong with this computer, so they upgraded it so you can sync it with your new iPhone, and do all those iPhone things with it, have these group FaceTime things. Like I told you before, there's Apple TV still works fine on here. I could rent a movie from Apple. See, when it comes to their, that's how the corporatocracy works. That's what I say. For those caught up completely in this concept of the swamp and the evil empire, it's like, yes, the Davos set, the World Economic Forum, that's an organized crime syndicate. Okay, we know that. Don't even try denying it. The media knows it's an organized crime syndicate. All right? Afghanistan. All right? Heroin trade. Number one producer of heroin. Never mentioned, when that was a story. Right? Now it's not even a story anymore. They're hiding it. Did you see that in the news today? Right? Do you see anything about Afghanistan? This is like tabloid journalism. Some governor alleged affair with somebody. Okay, that would be like the world news, or whatever these things, just weekly world news type of crap. Biden at some baseball game. He's wearing a baseball hat. He didn't play or anything. Democrats offer alternative plan, and the Senate reaches a deal to avoid government shutdown, like they do every frickin' year. I mean, it's tabloid journalism, and they're making billions of dollars to corporations and the presenters, as they call them in the UK, these news readers, because that's all they are. They're people with staffs and producers and all this stuff, the production that goes on. If you really want to, it's not the greatest show, but it's not that bad. Watch the morning show on Apple TV, right? It's one of the reasons why I kind of dropped my name, The Morning Show. Not that The Morning Show's copyrighted or anything like that. Literally there's thousands of morning shows all over the world. I mean, that's what you call this show. This is The Morning Show still. I mean, there's the mug over back here. And I still have shirts, The Morning Show with Tony C. Right? Everybody's got a morning show. In fact, every city in America practically. But they have that show with Jennifer Aniston. Is in it. Well, if you have they'll always give you the free first episode. So just watch season 1, episode 1 or something like that, or season 2, episode 1, whatever. They'll give you you could get a free view of it. And the whole reason is, and hopefully I think probably the season 1, episode 1 would be the ideal. I don't know if they still have that one out for free for you. I have a subscription to it. It's like $4.99. I've been watching this. I get caught up in this show, C, about when everybody went blind on the earth. But then suddenly some people being born with sight. It's not the greatest, but, you get caught up in it. It's something to watch. And the main reason was I signed up this fall was because I wanted to see the Foundation, Isaac Asimov's Foundation trilogy, which, as I said yesterday, they're not doing a good job with it. But I'm not saying to spend the money. I'm saying check out. I think you could see a free episode of their morning show. Just so, in case you're somebody. See, I spent when I was in college, I produced. I had a class, television. I had media and television classes. And I had one particular class towards the end, my senior year, where the class took place in a studio at the university. Okay? We weren't broadcasting, but I mean we had like a multiple camera system, the control room. And everyone in the class was assigned a position. And we used to rotate those positions. All right? So that you would do everything. You would either be a camera person, talent, script person, on the floor, technical director, whatever. At every position there is. And we had the booth, and we had the floor, and we had all the, the effects, and it was literally, for that time, things have gotten more digital now, but for that time, it was a full-fledged, it was small, it wasn't big, but it was a studio. And the idea was that you knew everything about, after you had these courses in, pop culture, television, the history of this, that, the other, theory about it, so to speak. You go through the 101s and the 201s and the 30, then you get to the 600 levels or whatever. And that's where you got hands-on, where you're actually doing it. And for your grade, your final grade, you had to produce a show. And I produced my show, which was a really good one. And I used to have the tape of it, but some clown I used to think was a friend of mine, I don't know, absconded with some of my stuff. The guy who's like stole my identity, but not like from a credit card type of thing. Somebody who became, I think they've done movies about that. Like people who like became your life, like somehow had some warped view. Like so the person copied my life and became my, his future was, everything I ever did was like, his life was like a half-assed version of my life. It was pretty comical. I used to be annoyed with it about 25 years ago, but then I just laughed at it. Guy used to be a friend of mine. We used to have a lot of laughs together. But it turned out, I didn't realize that he was a sociopath. He was like a narcissistic sociopath. But be that as it may, I have to bring in those little things because, after all, we have to. See, I put too many sound effects in here now, so whenever I want to play something...
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
I have to, look over there and scroll because, Hey, my cat's down here. Because I have 55... Hey, you. Do you want to come up and say hi? Come here. Where are you going? You're down there. I know you are. Come on up. But I have 55 sound effects just in this grouping. you know. So anyway, while I'm talking about nonsense, utter nonsense, look at this. I crossed off my name on this thing just for the sake of it. But anyway, so this is this finger, you know, whatever. Finger, they want to finger you. You have up to 700 pre-approved credit. Get what you need now. Build your credit, right? They send these out to people by zip code because I live in a cheaper zip code. That's intentionally. That's why my taxes, mortgage, and insurance is less than $200 a month. And why I don't, you know, I live free and freedom is fun. But in looking through these things, you know, and their favorite way of doing this, you know, and see if I could find this thing, if you could still hear me when I'm talking a little bit away from the microphone. All right, here we go for an example. So, you know, people want to get, you know, all the rage is the new phones that are being advertised. You know, these are some Samsungs, but they've got the iPhone in here and stuff. But what I wanted to show you about this is the sick world we live in. Yeah, this one here. Here's the Apple like type of thing. This is finger, you know, right? This is these people trying to finger you. So up at the top it says as low as 69. I don't know if you can see that. This camera is weird. You know, older computer. I need a better camera. But it is blurry, but it's as low as $69.99, and then you'll see the Apple Watch there as low as $28.99. But what you really can't see in the small print, all right? And I've got to look here under the spotlight to see it myself. Apple iPhone 12, right? And the price, item price, it's as low as $69.99 per month. Now, I don't know what the as low as means because, like, is it $69.99 per month? Because it's not like there's options given here. This is a printed book, you know. It's not like you could click on something and get an option, right? But anyway, be that as it may, it says the item number. Okay, underneath it, the price $12,059.99. Basically $12,060 for the iPhone 12, and the iPhone 13 just came out. As low as $69.99 per month. That means, it probably means because it's $70, plus they have probably some kind of taxes and tack on some kind of destination delivery fees and all that other stuff. And it's the same with these these iWatches and stuff. We're talking, you know, over $12,000 or $1,200, almost $1,300 for the old iPhone through, I'm going to say it, finger fuck, you know? Guaranteed, you pre-approved. This is like how these bastards, and I really abuse the poor in this country. Yeah, it's a crime. They're lying SOBs. I'm just pouring some coffee. I mean, these are the people in charge. The corporatocracy that seized power forever now. Forever. That's the part you don't know. Like, you just can't seem to deal with that. I want to go home. I want to go home. Isn't that what you feel like sometimes? Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe you like think, oh, this is great. I'm going to get the new iPhone for, for $70 some a month for how many? I mean, 12, $1,260 plus whatever. Well, that's a lot of $70 a month, so it's probably you probably end up paying for like 2 years. 2 years for a phone that every year they come out with a new phone, and they're already talking about the iPhone 14 might come out in the spring, but to the very least next fall. Which means if you buy this a year from now, you'll be basically 2 iPhones behind. Finger fuck. Right? You gotta be kidding me, man. Why? Just why? That's the title of this, subtitle of this show. I mean, people are nuts. So you got a media that's frickin' nuts. You got a news that's tabloid, basically selling cars. You got a political system that's a bunch of, and this is nothing against people who are older, because respect your elders, they're wise people. But, a guy like Schumer and, whoever, and this Biden guy, whoever the hell he even is, who is that guy? Right? He's a nobody. He's been a politician for so many years. He's nobody. He's nobody. He's just a crook. He's an organized crime, involved with the organized crime syndicate. All this stuff comes out about him and his family. He's like part of an organized crime family. That's like the weirdest thing about it. And finally mainstream media, like they're starting to cover that stuff, but they just like say it in passing. But I don't care. The whole thing's a corporatocracy. And of course, corporatocracies, corporations, of course, it's all one big organized crime syndicate. The cartels. Look, the intel agencies are in bed with the cartels, right? COINTELPRO, MK Ultra nonsense, extraordinary rendition, right? All these black ops sites, right? I mean, it's pretty pathetic. All that stuff that went on in Ukraine, 20 years of the Middle East, and now the truth has come out about the exit out of Afghanistan, that was all a lie. That general who was like trying to take over control of the nuclear arsenal, and he wasn't fired. I mean, this is insanity. Okay, so you get and the poppy fields and the number one producer of heroin, and we just handed like all of our best high-tech equipment over to a terrorist group. I mean, this is the world, all right? I don't know, man. Just why? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I think it is me that I have no viewers. And, yesterday's show, funny, it started at one point, there were 6 viewers. Then there were 5. Like I watched it, and when I watched the playback, there were 5 viewers. And this morning, when I logged on, I noticed there were 4 viewers. So it's like, it's not only that they're messing with me. I mean, nobody gets 4 viewers. I mean, except me and a tattoo, sometimes gets like 12 or something. But I mean, There's nobody gets that. I've seen people do videos that, that don't even are about nothing. I mean, there's no interest in, there's not even a random reason why, all right, anyone would watch it. There is only a random reason, and they'll get 13,000 views. Okay? 13,000 views. So, this video should have at least 13,000 views. I mean, I've already imparted with you information. Forget about my personal criticism and opinions and stuff like that. That's a different story. But I mean, I've already basically did research, put up stuff, things, and went over, various things and some DIY stuff and all this kind of stuff. And I see these people getting like 432,000 or 1.2 million views. And all they do is this, what I'm doing right now. So I'm not even getting those views for having, for talking. Let alone the idea of, having this, sound effect stuff. This one's hard to listen to volume-wise, but I should have played this yesterday or 2 days ago when I had the picture of those guys from Star Trek. Let's see if you can listen
Hal,
to it.
do you read me? Do you read me, Hal?
Affirmative, Dave. I read you.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me. And I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal. I think Elon Musk must have watched that movie when he got freaked out over AI. Hal. Of course, that was 2001. That was like a vision from the 60s of what life should have been like here. They were going to Jupiter or something. 20 years ago, 2001: A Space Odyssey, but the movie was made 60 years ago. And it was a fairly accurate prediction on the trajectory that we were on through NASA. Oh, by the way, let's see if you can see this. This is one of the coolest shirts that I have. Well, they're all cool, but I mean, this is the everything you know is wrong. And I just try to, I have everything. I've gotten everything. And I just got a thing from Amazon, because I sell my stuff on Amazon, through Amazon. And I believe I emptied the trash, but it was something to the effect of, because it's like an affiliate program or something weird like that. You make not for the shirts, is through a whole different thing, but like the book and my music. I make 28 cents or 50 cents or something on something. And every month they send you a report, right? For people who, for your affiliate sales. And so here's your affiliate report for the last 30 days. You did not earn any commissions. It's like when you sell a shirt, you get an instant notification. I've been yet to get one of those. No one bought a shirt or a mug. or you can see the Game Over hat actually near the old analog AM radio next to my book Codex. See, the Game Over hat I was wearing yesterday. Now I'm wearing like a polo hat, as if I'm like part of the ruling elite. But, you know, see my thumb? Gee, you're dumb. Then what? Underneath it, great solar stuff. So, yeah, yesterday, you know, it was funny. I don't feel I worked as hard yesterday as I did the day before up in the attic, you know, doing all this crazy stuff, you know. And, you know, the before and after, I thought those pictures would be more dramatic when I took them, but they don't really look, other than, you know, you could definitely see that on the right-hand side, it's pretty much solidly covered. But what you don't see is that it's really, you know, it's like a third coat over many areas. But I thought, you know, and I guess I was up there maybe, you know, you're bending down, you know, I don't know, you know, crouching down, reaching, up and down, you know, back and forth. This, that, the other. I don't know. It's like 3 hours or more. I don't know. And maybe 4. Drains a lot out of you. And my feet were hurting because these shoes that I put on the title card that I just covered with, you know, those goofy, like, hospital type slippers. I originally got those when I was cleaning another building out that a hoarder guy destroyed all my life's belongings. Life goes on, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. It's okay, baby. It's okay. You know, I mean, my first reaction was like,
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
But not really. I'm not like that anymore. I used to be. You know, but it's not worth it. You know, anger just is like louche. It just feeds these, you know, archons that are part of this, you know, I call them an organized crime syndicate, but these people, you got to get into David Icke and read some of his books or capture some of his videos. Like, he got kicked. I mean, they deplatformed him, you know. David Icke, man. It's ridiculous. You could still find him through something called Inspired. But the way the logo is, it's like Inspire I Read. You know, I want to check that YouTube channel out, Inspired. And they've got Max Egan and David Icke audio with like pictures of the beauty of nature and stuff in the background as you go through it. But yeah, you know, I look at part of me is totally open to this concept of reptilian aliens or archons running, you know, this prison planet. You know, it's like, it's Occam's razor type of idea. You know, once you rule out every other possibility, what's left is probably the reality. And there really is no other logic to this. You know, it's like I say, why the subtitle of this show is Why. Just why. You know, why can't they just leave us alone? You know, freedom is fun. You know, it's fun. You know, and I'm working every day. You know, like I say, I'm like, my job right now is my life. You know, this is my place. You know, I was watching somebody talking about something. I'm trying to think what vein it was, who it was. I don't even know because, I turn on YouTube, and yesterday I was really beat. That's why today it's like, I drink this coffee before it gets colder than room temperature. But I'm waking up now. It's 5:29 a.m. Well, it's actually just turned 5:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time here on the formerly the morning show. It's ROCKFLUX YouTube channel, broadcasting live. Tony Caravan live on September 30th, 2021. Glad you could be along with us. All right. So,
good morning.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Do our little half-hour station ID break. But, this guy was talking, it might have even been Max Egan. I think it was on that Inspired. Like I say, it's inspired, but, you'll see the logo if you go there. It's a YouTube channel. It's called Inspired. Just check it out. Inspired. The I. And, I guess Max was saying, Max is an Australian, does a radio show, on some station in Australia. But, he was doing videos, and he got canned, too, just like Ike, And his videos were kind of nice, because he used to just walk around this little place he had. He lived a fairly simple life. And he had there were like peacocks that hung out in his yard. And, and he used to just walk around with the camera and talk. And he said it like it is. Some of his stuff was a little far out and stuff like that. But not totally, And like I say, how did anything, you don't know what you don't know, right? Look above. That another shirt you should really get. And the shirt I'm wearing now, everything is wrong. Game over. So you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. And people maybe laugh and say, this guy's a nutbag too. And that's why they like whatever they're doing to hide this show. Like they leave me on, but I don't know, but they've got me like choked, throttled. See, the thing is, I guess the thing with Google or YouTube is that, I'm on here. I pretty much abide by their terms of service. I don't really, because like I say, I'm not political and I don't push the issue. I touch on things, but I don't really push them. And I don't go over the deep end, I don't think. But the other thing is, I've got 10 books now on Apple Books, 10 books on Amazon, 50 songs about floating around, and they're on like Apple Music. They're on YouTube Music. You can, if you've got like an Echo Dot or one of those things, you can say, play the music of Tony Caravan, and it'll just play a couple hours worth of music, my songs. So I guess that's one of the reasons I'm still on, I don't know. Like I say, it's like I said on the back of my book, wherever I didn't get my printed books yet, but I have the printout of my cover. This is the back of my cover. I read this once before, but I'll read it again. This is the final tome, Tome, of a 10-book volume that explores the mind and biography of one of the most influential, yet under-the-radar, truly legendary pop cultural figures you never heard of. That's true. It's like, they hide me. I'm hidden. My music's available worldwide through like massive distribution network. Totally massive distribution network. My books are all, ISBN numbers, Library of Congress, available worldwide, globally. I've done 500 videos at this point, many of them 2-hour docu dramas. It's insanity. There's nobody watching right now. I want to go home. So we don't need to keep that title card up. I just thought it was funny wearing those things yesterday. I had to put it up. But I also think it's like kind of cool that this is what the former U.S. looks like right now. Pretty much so. I mean, a couple hours ago. That was a live shot today, this morning. Satellite view. Look at that. Oh, I forgot to mention when I was talking about, how I've been through everywhere in Florida. Of course, I was in Orlando. Did the Disney World thing and also was through Orlando. Because I once took the sleeper train. I was telling somebody on the phone. I was telling Trey, the guy who used his sunrise photos yesterday, that I took a sleeper. Because I took a sleeper train from Philly once all the way to Orlando. And it wasn't like the high expensive one. It was like the, they call them, it was the cheapest berth. Why they call them a berth, I have no idea. But it had this thing that, you're in there and you're sitting down, and it was like this ultimate, engineering feat they've created. So on this side is windows. So I'm sitting on a chair, comfortable chair, but it's private. It's just the size of like a closet, all right, basically. And so I could sit there and I have this beautiful view. In fact, I shot a movie and did a movie. I never finished it and like released it, but I did this whole movie of this adventure, and there's a lot of footage out the window traveling, because that's a long distance going from, Philadelphia to Orlando, Florida. But then there's this thing in there that lifts up, and then there's like a toilet in there with a sink, like in an airline type of toilet, like you'd have in an airplane. But that's like down. The place doesn't have any smell of that kind of thing or anything. It's very well hidden, and it's under a seat type of thing. It's interesting. And then this thing comes down like a bunk. Like I think it's above the windows, but somehow you can bring it down, and then that's where you can lay down and sleep. Or you could just lay down on that and like listen to music, read a magazine or something, and glance out the window with the view. It's a pretty interesting. This was a long time ago, because I moved to Florida for about a year or two, back around 2000-ish, right around that time. Spent about a year and a half there or something like that on the Gulf Coast, just to experience it. My parents that were used to go down there a lot, and I had moved away from their homestead. Then eventually they sold their house and moved down there or whatever. So it was like they came down a couple times, and so it was a way of spending some time with them, But, and also just to experience the Gulf Coast. I had never been to the Gulf Coast. I had been when I was younger, a bunch of us drove down to Lauderdale. You know, I had visited a friend of mine, you know, lived in the, like in the Keys, the Florida Keys, not Key West, but the Keys. They're like, you know, and I don't know if we went down to South Beach or not. I forget. But of course I've flown into Tampa, flown out of Tampa, you know, did the Disney thing a long, long time ago. You know, that's just my Florida story. Right? You know, and I could tell you a similar story like that about my like New Jersey story. You know, working in Wildwood as a, you know, out of high school, and Cape May, and worked for a newspaper down there. As a kid, my family, I talked about already, you know, had a business on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. I went to kindergarten in like Ventnor, New Jersey. You know, and it's the same with New York. I could tell you about New York. I lived in Midtown Manhattan in a penthouse at one point, but I was on 42nd Street, you know, before Disney took it over, or 44th, living in some Fleabag hotel before I got my job where then I ended up working for Columbia University. But I also, you know, lived over in like an artist loft in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Yeah. That's like New York. And in Pennsylvania, I lived in Philadelphia like a couple of times. I lived up in the Main Line, lived in Center City in like a high-rise apartment, a luxurious high-rise apartment, upscale place. You know, was born in Pottsville, PA, lived there, managed a radio station there, was in State College, Harrisburg, spent a lot of time there. You know, Johnstown, home of the Johnstown flood. Traveled up to Erie, been in Pittsburgh many a time. You know, all kinds of weird places. There's a place in Pennsylvania called the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon. I've been to a weird place called World's End State Park and Scranton, Hazleton. You know, that's my Pennsylvania story. You know, drove across, you know, through Ohio, spent time in Chicago, right? Went to blues clubs. Then went up Lake Michigan, visited a friend in like Northwestern University and hung out on the shoreline up there and stuff, and partied in that college. You know, drove down. I saw it was St. Louis, you know, the Louisville. Saw the Louisville Slugger, that giant bat they have. Ate lunch underneath the arches, you know, in St. Louis. You know what I mean? Went, you know, did all that. Went through the Painted Desert and bought a geode and, you know, Indian territory, you know, got, you know, Oklahoma, went, you know, stayed in Oklahoma, partied in Oklahoma, various parts in Oklahoma, into Texas, been in Arkansas, you know, went to New Orleans for you know, a National Association of Broadcasters convention, stayed there for days and did Mardi Gras, you know, in New Orleans. You know, I mean, you know, and the list goes on. Drove across through the, you know, the Southwest, went through the Mojave Desert. Then in California, you know, worked in LA, but been up to San Francisco many a times. Used to drive up to Vegas often, into Vegas. You know, been over the Golden Gate Bridge. You know, I've done like, you know, and of course I've crossed both oceans. You know, I've been to Australia 3 times, been to Hawaii multiple times, been over to the UK. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, and you say like, well, how old are you? You must be immortal. And I'm not even, you know, and I'm sure there's like things I'm not even mentioning, places and people who, you know. It's like, you know, life was an adventure. I started young and I traveled and I did all that stuff. That's why I could live like this right now. And that's what people don't understand. It's like if you've experienced that much stuff, you know, it's like, what are you, you know, people think, you know, that's why I feel bad for people who retire and suddenly they think, oh, we're going to get a RV and we're going to go see the USA. And meanwhile, they're like old people, right? It's like, no, do it while you're young. So I spent the first, you know, 40 years of my life or 30 years or whatever it was, living life, you know, and then I'm not even talking about the jobs and the businesses I've owned, partners I've had, business partners, married twice, you know, half a dozen or so long-term relationships, other relationships. I mean, what a strange trip it's been. And so now I'm at this point. That's how, you know, where do you think I get content to write 50 songs and 10 books, you know, and to do, you know, 500, you know, 2-hour videos. And that's why I say, you know, so it's like, you know, I've seen so much stuff. Oh, DC. I lived in, we forgot about that. I lived in Columbia, Maryland, right? I've lived in Capitol Hill, lived and worked on Capitol Hill. You know, spent a lot of time in Baltimore. You know, used to hang at the Inner Harbor, but also Fells Point. I don't know what it's like now, but that used to be a little bit rougher area. But there were some real interesting clubs there. You see what I mean? If I really tax my mind, I could start thinking of this. And it's like, yeah. I mean, and some people, that would be their whole life. That would be their big story when, you know, when they would, you know, be sitting at a bar, you know, they would tell you about their story was like their adventure in living down in the Beltway, D.C., or their adventure living in, you know, in Florida, or their adventure in California. You know, one of these dozen things that I've, you know, or their trip, you know, like, you know, I could tell you stories of being in the Outback and Charlie McMahon's Jeep that was in Midnight Oil video that was on MTV, and driving with him, you know, crazy stuff. The Oz Rock Hotel, and living in, you know, at King's Cross. I mean, I could tell you stories, you know. Like I said, I walked across LA one time. And when I was in Sydney, I once walked Sydney, like completely around Sydney. A whole day it took me, you know, pretty much just like looped it. You know, it's a big city, Sydney. I've been in the Opera House, the Sydney Opera House, all the way up top. Was at the Sydney Opera House, because I was down there producing a movie, and there was somebody performing there. I think she might have been a ballerina or something or whatever, and I was considering her for, I think, in the cat to be an actress in the film, so I had to go up and I met her after a performance in the. So you see the Sydney Opera House, but way up the top there's like a this open space room, like I guess they've got offices up there too. But you could take an elevator up to the top of that. I was there. I was in the Twin Towers. I was in the Chicago Tower. You know? Like, I could tell you stories. And it's like, what a life. It's almost like that in Blade Runner when that Rutger Hauer, character says, if you could only have seen the things I've seen, And then there's the simple things, the everyday things that are even way more impacting and more important to me than these things I throw out to you. The idea of friendships I've had along the way, 1,000 people I've met, hundreds of good friends. And now I just live alone with a cat. And I know like a couple of people. That's it. I have a couple of friends. I mean, it's not like I don't have, those people weren't my friends, but I mean, I don't live near them. I'm not going to ever see them. I don't drive, and so I'm at this point now where I just live this simple life at the poverty level, basically, and I'm sharing, so it's a very interesting stuff. And a lot of this stuff is touched in my books. And none of them are expensive. I mean, you could buy the whole 10-volume set probably for $100 or something like that. But I mean, my current book here, it's $9.95. I don't know what Codex might be a little bit more, but I don't know. I could lower the price on that. That might be $12.95. I think the price on this is $9.95. And you got to have the print book. You're going to get a book. Get a book. These digital things are useless. It's not a book. It's not a book. Unless it's print. So, yeah.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
It's a crazy story, isn't it? Isn't that crazy? There's not many people like that, in the U.S. that could think about it. That would, could actually tell you what I just said in, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes, whatever it took, giving you this weird overview of things I've done. So many people. And I have 0 viewers. And when this is all said and done, I may get a handful of viewers if I'm lucky. That's so weird. And I do all this stuff, and I offer all this stuff to people and all this help. Like I say, it's service to others. I'm just sharing things with you. I'm not monetized on YouTube. And I do this great solar stuff thing. In fact, I should bring that up just for the sake of it. I have this great solar stuff website. See, there's a transistor radio on top of the, if you look over here, you see this device. And I'll move this solar thing down. Well, that device is one of those, like I say, this is service to others. You could see the Great Solar logo in the background underneath the Then What book. But it's like, I see all these people suffering because they've got power outages and storms and they have no electricity for 2 weeks and stuff. And I thought, well, it'd be nice to, and I searched and tested various things. And I found this one and it works and I use it. My on-air sign above there is being powered by it right now. Right? And in fact, now you can see the device a little bit better. That obviously, it's not plugged in. My chair just sunk down. Because that's, it's a 20-year-old chair, and I don't sell anything, so I don't have like these YouTubers. They have these like $300 chairs and stuff, ergonomic things. But, I do all this stuff, and I have all this swag and these neat things, and I don't know. It's really weird. So, so it kind of ties into the idea of why, just why, Yesterday was a more animated show, but today, I just thought, just get into, just the absurdity, which again, it's like these words that used to carry a lot of weight. If somebody said absurdity, it would be like, it had meaning, or somebody said, this is insane, right? People would go like, yeah, you're right, man. That's insane. But now it's like, these words are like they're so overused that they carry no weight whatsoever. And, do you like my little VU meter down here? It's just an old GIF I've had for years. And it doesn't keep spinning. It's not really like synced to my voice, but, it's kind of interesting. It's these various things that I could do with this open source program that you would have to, anything that even comes close to this, the paid programs, the cloud programs, and certainly YouTube Studio can't do any of this stuff. I mean, this is live. I'm doing this live. This is 100% live. I even have the ability, the capability. My phone is 100% charged. And I'm going to take it out of its case. I don't even know what I'm going to look. I have to look at this. I'm looking at my iPhone right now. And I'm trying to find out let's see, about software version 12.5, model name. This is an iPhone 6 Plus. They're on 13. Okay. Now I've got my camera on, and this other feature I have with this neat thing. Where is it? I didn't know I didn't get rid of it. There it is. iPhone. There. I have to get rid of this, some of this garbage on the screen. Because I want to, it's actually showing you my iPhone. So I even have to get rid of the then what, because that's in the way. And we'll move this over a little bit. And so what you're looking at is my camera and my room. Like I say, there's the futon. When I show that device, the electromagnetic field device, and I point it. See, there's my other computer that has all the sound effects on it, using an old version of iTunes. And then that's like a window that goes to the outside. And this is part of my microphone, my secondary keyboard. My sound system is basically under here. Is my coffee pot. You almost could see across the street, if you look really closely, that you could see like a building across the street. And you could see that green light there. That's like peaking when I talk. You see? That's the mixer. It's interesting. And you see how if I pull this back, There's also there's the rest of the room. There's my WC. That door goes into the kitchen bar there. And I've got these little like tiki type of lights, and there's a big air conditioner, and that's my front door over top of my computer. But see, on the left, you see me, the close-up of me, the big head. That is this is the program I'm using that is basically, in development. It's an ongoing in development open source program. But over towards the left is actually the live feed of YouTube. And if I click on that, see, now you can see the chat there, which there is no chat. And you could also see that this is statistics. It says 2 playbacks, right? Average watch time, 8 seconds. Like, how is that even possible? It's like two people playbacks. It's insane. So anyway, I'm going to click. This is a weird picture, while I've got this thing working, and before it's really starting to push the CPU. So I can't do this much longer. But that shows you, like, you could almost see the crown top of my house, and that's my overgrown yard back there, which is interesting. And then these were the original pictures, right, that I showed. And, going back to the storm and how it was before. So you really could see the changes I went through in dealing with this. This was when going up there in the middle of the night with a flashlight. And see the holes, the gaps between the wood there become visible. But yeah, it's a crazy trip. And that's way before I started to. Yeah, this gives you an example of how bad this area is, because I've never shown this picture. You see how I have the plastic diverting water. I had to open up, and so the plastic forces the water into those bins. How would you like to live like that? But at the same time, I ate this tomato yesterday, by the way. And I got to remember I have these carrots and stuff in my refrigerator, so I got to make a stew today. There's so many things, I'd like to do. But I've got to turn this iPhone thing off. But, you don't get around to doing them because I'm so busy and, with this roof repair, this attic repair thing. And I want to eat healthy. And that's another thing to remember, is that I touched on this yesterday, but you can't stress it enough. There, some people say you need to prioritize. It's like, no, you don't. Well, you can prioritize. I mean, if there's something that needs immediate attention, yeah, do it. But what I'm getting at is that don't prioritize at the expense of not doing something, a couple of other things. So it's like me, I have to make sure I eat a healthy meal today that will help boost my immune system and give me antioxidants and that kind of thing. Because I can't really go out in the sun anymore. Because it's over. See, a lot of people don't understand is once you get deeper into fall, from like October to March, it'd be a sunny day and you're out there and you're thinking, I'm getting vitamin D. It's like, no, you're not. The UVB rays are weakened, axial tilt and all that, happy horse crap. It's not the same. So it's like, end of April, into early September type of thing. May to September, early September. And today's the 30th of September. September's over for all practical purposes. So, you need to get vitamin D3 in your system. I think it lasts almost like 3 or 4 weeks or something, before you become deficient. But I've already been out of the sun now for several days, and today I've got to go up on the roof again. So, and I don't think the sun's strong enough. I'd have to be out in the sun for you'd have to be out in the sun all day, put it that way, to really get a good dose at this time of year. And the further you get into fall and approach winter, even that wouldn't even matter. Like the winter sun is nothing. Even if it feels warm and hot in your face, it's nothing. It's just not giving you that. It's not going to boost your immune system the way the summer sun does. So you have to eat healthy. You have to eat those things. And one of the things about this book up here, and I've done it in other books, but I repeat things often, and I go through the process of life, and I've changed, like I've said before. There's one or two of my books where even my thoughts, if you use the word ideology, I guess, because now I don't really have an ideology anymore. I'm not political and I don't have an ideology. But I did early on, and writing 10 books is a long stretch of time. And change is a part of our lives. We learn and grow. We're constantly learning and growing. If you're so close-minded that you're the same thick-headed moron you were when you were in high school or grade school, well, I've got no time for you. Okay? You're a soulless human being and you're useless. I like a person that says, hey, I used to be such and such and I've changed or whatever. In other words, that's growth. That's that whole idea, even this, not to get into the religious concept, but, the idea of people wonder, well, why would this guy be forgiven? That person, I didn't do any of those bad things. So why is this guy forgiven for his sins, repented or whatever? Because that person came to the realization. That person really understands that thing was wrong and sees it. Whereas you're just like living your life based on nothing. You don't really know, right? Why a lie is what the damage of a lie is, what the damage of theft is, of what, that kind of thing. You don't understand that. I'm not talking about major things, really evil things. I'm talking about basics. But it's the idea of learning, life. And it's the same with ideology and politics and stuff like that, which on a much lesser stage because they're meaningless. But I've changed. I've gone back and forth from political leanings and ideology over the years. Now I have none. Now I just call it out as I see it. Some people might think, well, you sound as if you're like against the president or the Democrats or something. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm against that. I'm against the guy being propped up and given coke or blood transfusions and saying and lying to people. I'm not against a political party. I don't give a crap. And besides, the whole thing's a corporatocracy, so it doesn't really matter. The dude's just a marionette, just like all those people in Congress. They're all just puppets of the, organized crime syndicate that rules the world. Right out of a, Marvel comic book, or a James Bond movie or Mission Impossible. The coffee has officially, it's time. The coffee officially, let's see. I got to get a drum roll. I don't have anything like that.
delicious.
No, it's not delicious. The coffee has officially become colder than room temperature. So
You're now in a different continuum than the world you're used to.
exactly, because that violates the law of physics. There's no vlogs. There's no podcast, webcast like this, where you hear this kind of stuff. It's interesting. And, and 0 viewers. 2 playbacks, it said, and total time 8 seconds. How could that even be? And I never even saw a 1 come up like there was ever a viewer. And yesterday it started with 6 viewers, went to 5, and this morning it showed 4 viewers for yesterday's show. The games people play. And that's the whole thing. Why? Just why? The title of this show. Why? I don't even really need to show this. I just did this for the heck of it. I want to go home. I don't really. I am home. But yeah, there's things I'd like to do, and to stress with you as we get towards, into the closing time, the last part of the show. You got to take care of yourself. You got to boost your immune system. You have to eat well. You have to make the time to do that. And today it's going to be tough for me. Yesterday I was on the phone and I had to hang up. I go, it's at a certain time. I only have so much time during the day to do the things that I have to do. And I'm retired, and freedom is fun. It's supposed to be fun, and I want it to be fun. So I'm doing the things I have to do because they are accomplishments, and they will get me closer to where I want to be, so to where I can have fun. And then you just hope that if you're eating well, all right, your health will be with you, so that once you achieve that point where you have more freedom, that you actually can have fun. And that you're not caught up in this ridiculousness that that I am, and you don't wake up at 3:00 in the morning and hearing
This is a nightmare. Must be a nightmare.
No, it's just the rain and it's leaking on your bed. You don't want that. So that's why you endeavor to persevere, like the Indian guy said, the chief. It's not for eating, it's for looking through. From Josie Wales. Josie Wales. So, I don't know. It's...
Why are you telling us this?
Because it's the truth. It's the truth. And you live in this kind of world.
Meow, 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 meow.
And that's not the way it is. Okay?
ROCKFLUX Live.
It's ROCKFLUX Live. That's the name of the show. Right? And
Tony Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you do.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
So that's it. And that's, so I think that freedom is fun. I think you can be free, and you just have to work at it. And this week for me is like hell week. Even though I don't acknowledge the days, when I wake up in the morning, I don't really think of it, because it doesn't really, a day doesn't mean anything to me. It's just another day, like McCartney's song. So I will endeavor to persevere today and try to make forward movement to get closer to solving this ridiculousness up in my attic. This ongoing thing that you've been following along with this, webcast, podcast, whatever you want to call it. This is under people and blogs or people in vlogs. I don't know if they use the word vlog on in the YouTube category. It's funny how, did you ever notice in like emails and different things like that, when you use words that are contemporary, like that apply to the actual company and technology that you're using, that sometimes they'll correct them. I mean, they've gotten better and started to correct it. But there were times where, like, they didn't even understand the word. If you put internet in email, it would like try to correct it with something else, weird stuff like that. And I bet you if you put vlog, I think I might have tried that the other day. It doesn't want to, it like will tell you blog. It won't, like, they still haven't like updated their spell checker or whatever to understand the concept of a vlog, big tech. And people worship these things. It's corporatocracy, as if they're like these, like I said, the American gods, the small g. It's like they don't know jack shit, Look at all that pop culture memorabilia behind me there. Transistor radio, 3D glasses, tubes. There's an old tube radio there. I've shown tubes on this broadcast before. They still call this like YouTube, though they've changed it a little bit. But I have one here. If I can reach back, yeah, that's a tube. And it would plug into a television, or a radio. That's a tube. That's what they mean by a tube. YouTube. Makes no sense whatsoever. Pretty funny. It's even how YouTube has changed their logo, where they've just used the button type of thing from like a cassette player or a VCR. Because somebody, in some meeting said, hey, YouTube doesn't make any sense. And even the screens, they're not cathode ray tubes, so calling it YouTube doesn't mean anything. People used to call it the boob tube. It's like TVs are like LED, plasma, whatever they are, backlit, tech of some sort, some kind of electric, magnetic nonsense. But what is the switch, right? Why the cassette or VCR switch? You think that's any better than calling it YouTube? So they have like this picture of a button, play button, studio, and then the word studio after it. And that's supposed to be the iconic logo for them. Just like I have like, that's a logo, right? But at least great solar stuff. That's a classic example of a good logo. I used to be a creative director of an advertising agency. So if you missed all that other, earlier stuff, this is advertising, 101 for you. So it's greatsolarstuff.com. And now someone would say, wow, that's a real long URL, right? Something to type in. Now, if it was just in a line, people might misspell it and all that. But see, I put them all on top of each other. Great solar stuff. Now, what is it that I sell? Solar stuff, and it's great solar stuff. And so the logo is immersed in a sun. So it's solar, great solar stuff. So there's the image. That's a classic logo. And that's the kind of thing. I've designed so many logos, it's unbelievable. There's a site that's still up that has, I don't know, like 100 some of the logos that I've designed for companies. International companies, like international companies even. And, you know, which just is another chapter of my life. Some of that stuff I don't even mention in these 10 books I have out, and in these podcasts, you know, webcasts. And my chair keeps sinking. So annoying. You know, between the technology, yeah, and everything you know is wrong. This shirt, if you can see the texture on this shirt. I mean, it almost looks like a leather, you know, leathery type of texture. You see that texture? You know, and even look at the collar and stuff. This is good stuff. You know, like I say, I don't, you know, then I put, you know, my name is behind all of this stuff. I've tested everything out. If it doesn't work, if it's not good, I won't put it on this show. I won't put it on my website for sale. That great solar stuff thing, you'll see that jackery thing with the light behind the green, old-fashioned green rotary phone. It still works, by the way. But I put that through the ringer. That thing has been on every day, powering the on-air light, that little light, and behind my head, you can't see it, and, you know, but I have another light that I used to put on sometimes. That was when I was pushing the, I don't even have my flash. Let's see, do I have any portable? My flashlight I had to take upstairs, and I took up the weather radio up to the attic because I was listening to that yesterday, and charging it. It has a solar charger on it, and I get sun up there. So yesterday wasn't that bad. I was listening to music. I had the iPhone up there. I was listening to music playlist. I was charging the weather radio, listened to some of that for a while. Utilized that ridiculously bright flashlight that is incorporated in that radio. That's on great solar stuff for like $35 or something is all that thing costs. And it'll even emergency charge your cell phone. And if the sun's not out, you could just you could wind charge it from the back. It's got a reading light on it. And an AM FM radio on top of the weather radio, which turns into an emergency radio if you're caught in some kind of situation where you're in like hurricane, tornado, or severe winter storm type of situation. It switches over to like this, you know, NOAA emergency stuff. So it's giving you like constant updates on what's going on and everything you need to know. Why wouldn't you buy something like that for $35? I mean, you know, I'd probably make a quarter or 50 cents if I'm lucky commission on it. So it's not like I'm pushing this because I want to make a lot of money. But I found that thing for you, and I looked at a couple of other different models, and that's the one I found, and that's the one I've been using that for about 6 or 7 months and putting it through the ringer. And it's held up, and this jackery has held up. I've only had to charge that twice. You know, and I've plugged things into it and done all kinds of things to it. It's, you know, it's the real deal. And that's the low end model. You know, they have higher end models. So I don't know, you know, why, just why, you know, that's the question I ask. So you know, I don't know what else to say. I think this was a pretty good show. And if, you know, For those of you who tuned in late, I recommend you go back and check out this show. I'm going to end it now.
Good morning.
Because I've got things to do.
Elvis has left the building. Thank you and good night.
Yeah. But thanks for watching. Visit TonyCaravanLive.com, RockFlux.com, GreatSolarStuff.com. Get the book. Buy the print version of Then What. That's the latest book. Get Codex is still available. I got 10 books out there, 50 songs, 500 some videos to watch. A lifetime, basically a lifetime of stuff, and stories that are just, are just very interesting. So anyway, thanks for watching again. Have a great Thursday. If you're a person that has to deal with a day as, I just don't care what day it is.